Hi there, Carol Allen, Vedic astrologer and relationship coach. Wanted to talk today about the big news of the week. OMG, Taylor and Travis, of course. So exciting. Great news for the Swifties out there. I'm in my 50s, so I'm not a Swiftie, but I'm nifty. Dun-dun-dun. Uh, so just, think she's adorable, think he's adorable. I've never bought any albums. I've never watched any of his football games, so don't hate me. Okay, but what's in their stars? Well, I have to say, it's kind of amazing what's in their stars. Now, first of all, Taylor, of course, is completely amazing. Her life, OMG. How do you be a Taylor Swift? Well, you have to have the blessing of the stars, and she does. She has the planet of wealth and success in the house of good fortune. She has the ruler of the house of career in the house of good fortune. She has the ruler of the house of income in the house of income. That's like the home team on the home turf, having the home advantage. She has the ruler of the house of cash flow in the house of income. This is what's called a Dana yoga. It creates wealth. She has the moon in Gemini. Gemini is one of the signs of writing. It's the natural sign of composing and music. So, OG, the moon is what you love. The moon is what you put your emotional focus on. And for her, it's music. Now, she has the planet of destiny or Dharma, as they call it in India, in the third house. The third house is just like the sign of Gemini: music, talents, artistic ability, marketing, self promotion, something she's also completely brilliant at. In both Western and Vedic astrology, she's Libra rising. The rising sign is how the world sees you. Libra is one of the other signs associated with music. It's associated with love and relationships. It's the natural sign of partnership, and that's kind of an obsession of hers, right? At least in her writing. Her whole chart is ruled by the planet Venus, the planet of love and romance, art and beauty. And so I gotta say, Taylor Swift is being exactly who she was divinely designed to be. Now, in Vedic astrology, more important than what sign you are, what rising sign you are, etc., is what moon constellation were you born into? These are 27 smaller signs that the moon travels through every month, one sign a night. And the most indicative of who you are emotionally and how you are relationally and what you care about is your moon sign. And hers is in a constellation of Gemini called Mrigashira. And Mrigashira, of the 27 ancient, amazing Vedic signs, is the most friendly. It's the most friendly. It's associated with uh, the transformation and caring about the planet. And Taylor is so flippin' friendly. She's so cute with her fans. She's so adorable with, talk show hosts and everywhere she goes, she's like hugging everyone, talking to everyone. Like, she is not too cool for school. She is not above it all. She is not a diva, at least, you know, not in her interactions with others. And that's so great. Now, it's a constellation ruled by Mars, and Moon Mars people are good in commerce. They're good in business. They're good commercially. They're good at kicking ass and taking names in business, which, I mean, she is not just a music phenomenon. You don't need me to tell you. She's a business phenomenon. She's a technology genius. The moon is in the ninth house, the house of good fortune, but it's also the house of foreign countries. So, of course, she's beloved all over the world. I mean, how much time have we got? I could talk about Taylor all day. Now, I haven't even mentioned that she's a Scorpio. We care less about the sun sign in Vedic astrology than the moon or the rising sign. But I will say, being a Scorpio, it's part of why she's a sex symbol. It's part of why she, vamps it up in little teeny outfits like pop stars do. It's part of why she is so determined. Her story is so incredible. As a child, she knew what she wanted. She convinced her parents to move to Nashville. She pursued this like her life depended on it. And Scorpios are like that. They're very determined. It's one of the power signs, and they do not mess around. And she has made all her dreams come true. Now, in Vedic astrology, we care more about what are called yogas than signs. And yogas are the combination of planets, houses, and signs. And she has one of the most powerful yogas, which is that almost all of the sun, moon, and 5 major planets are in the first quadrant of the chart. This makes a person very self-reliant, very self-starting, self-generating, self-motivated. They get fulfillment from within. This is part of why she's so confident and composed, why even as a young woman, she took on one of the most competitive, high stakes, difficult businesses in the world at a time when it was completely changing, going from analog to digital, going from records and CDs to, DVDs, and then, streaming. And then, she has worked tirelessly, not only to advocate for herself, but to advocate for artists. And that is in large part because she's a Scorpio. Now, what is so interesting, so here she is, a little bit of a late bloomer in love, you could say. She is turning 36 this year. Now, I have found in my work that about 50% of the population are late bloomers in love. And in Taylor's chart, this shows up in a few ways, one of them being that the planet of love and marriage, Venus, is in the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn is one of the oldest signs. It's ruled by the planet Saturn. Saturn represents old things. Saturn represents things unfolding slowly over time. People with Venus in Capricorn or Aquarius, that is one of the indicators of being a late bloomer in love. Now, one of the other indicators of being a late bloomer in love is that the ruler of her house of partnership, which we actually care more about than the house itself, is Mars. And Mars is in a constellation ruled by OG Saturn. And when the ruler of a house is in a constellation ruled then by Saturn, that part of the life tends to come more together when you're at least in your 36th year, which is the age of 35. So her ruler of her house of partnership is sort of suppressed and held back until she's 35. Isn't that crazy? And so both Venus and the partnership indicator say it would be late. So here she is late. We also have all these amazing subcharts in Vedic astrology, and her subchart on marriage has our buddy Saturn in the house of partnership, and that means late. So here she is late, but boy, worth the wait, right? Because oh my gosh, how, accomplished, charming, poised, handsome, great family, all these things could we say about Travis. Well, what I love about Travis is apparently he had women in the past that he was worried were only after him for his money. And he kind of doesn't have to worry about that with little Tay Tay, right? So what makes Travis such a baller? Well, he has 3 planets in Virgo. He's a Virgo, but he has something Bill Gates has, which is exalted Mercury in Virgo. Mercury is the merchant. This is the planet of business. And when it's in its favorite sign, which is the sign of Virgo, you're going to be good in business, and you're going to be good at talking, which he has a successful podcast with his brother. You're going to be quick, intelligent, charming, smart, strategic. Virgo, people think of Virgo as the virgin and so intellectual and fussy. Well, Virgo is also the sign of war, and he, being a professional athlete, is a warrior. This guy goes to war for a living, right? He's got to crush the opponent and kill the opposition, right? And don't ask me anything about football. I know nothing, right? Home runs, strikes, what do they do in football again? Anyway, so not only does the sun and exalted Mercury in Virgo, which is fantastic, he also has Mars there, and Mars is athletics. And it's the god of war. It's the planet of war. You put the planet of war in the sign of war, you got a first class warrior. So, and that Mars and that Sun are both ruled by that exalted Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of the sign of Virgo. So they're extra supported, they're extra strong. So that is very interesting. Now, what's beautiful is Travis has Venus with the moon in the sign of Scorpio. Now, we don't know his birth time, which is frustrating because I don't know his houses. I don't know his planetary periods. I don't know all his subcharts, but we know a lot. And when we have one person's chart and just another person's day, there's still a great deal you can see, and there's still a great deal you can know. Well, a Venus moon guy is a romantic guy, right? So we've heard all these romantic stories about them and we've seen them, having all these beautiful romantic dates. And, he's followed her on her Eras tour all over the world. And I love the story of him trying to meet her the first time and making her a little friendship bracelet, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can happily Google any of this. But a moon Venus guy is going to be determined, and he's going to be romantic, and he's going to be passionate. And what I love about a man having Venus and the moon in a fixed sign, they're in the sign of Scorpio, is that once he gives his heart, once he makes a commitment, once he, says, I'm your guy, he is rock solid. And Taylor needs that, right? A woman with that big of a life, playing that big of a game, she needs a rock. And this guy, I really think, is a rock. He has beautiful yogas that I can see just from his day. All his planets are in 4 signs. That makes a person very stable, solid, self-generating, a producer. So all of that is great. So I feel really good about them. When we look at their charts together, what's gorgeous is they have a sun moon connection. This is one of my all-time favorite things. Her sun is with his moon. Anytime you share a sun sign, moon sign, or rising sign with another person, or when they're in opposition, you feel instantly familiar. You feel really bonded. You feel really comfortable. And they have that by his moon being with her sun. Now, it does kind of make her the king. I'm not going to lie. And, no offense, Travis, she is a little more successful. She has a little higher status. So it may be that she's a little bit of the boss. But they have so many other beautiful connections. I'm sure he doesn't mind, right? I mean, ironically, even though we think of him as this like baller, strong, masculine alpha guy with this very alpha job, he has a feminine sun sign and a feminine moon sign. So this guy's a softie. This guy's a sweetie pie. He's got that combination women die for, right? Of like sweet but edge, right? Alpha but sensitive, right? So good job, Taylor. Okay, so not only do they have the sun moon connection, they have the same Jupiter. His Jupiter is with her Jupiter. His Jupiter is with her moon. That is very, very beautiful. That Jupiter's the planet of grace, encouragement, support, healing. That means they do that for each other. That means they uplift each other and they're supportive of one another. That means they're both giving here and they both feel healed by the other. And it really promotes goodwill, which is fantastic. Now, in terms of like, hey, why are they more than friends? Okay, so you can have a bond with somebody, but that doesn't make you want to marry them, right? So what I can't help but notice right away is Venus, the planet of love in his chart, is with the sun and Mars in her chart. Now, the Venus sun connection, Venus is love, the sun is like you, right? The Venus sun connection between two people is love, right? I have a girlfriend with this. Her sun is with my Venus. And when I met her, I got all giddy. I acted like I had a crush on her or something. She even said, do you have a crush on me or something? Like, what is your problem? And I am as straight as the day is boring, right? And it's just the Venus something makes you like have that sparkle around somebody. So they have that. Venus, Mars, and oh my gosh, you guys, I don't know his birth time, but his Venus is the same degree as her Mars. And that is sexy. That is hot. That is chemistry all day long. I mean, that is like, wowza. That is going to keep them smiling with spring in their step for decades to come. So woohoo, gotta love that. So that's why they're more than friends. Now, is their compatibility perfect? No. We have this amazing long 15-step compatibility technique from India that we do that's very, very, very powerful. What I was just describing is their synastry. It's like how his chart overlaps with her chart, what planetary energies in his chart activate hers, and vice versa. There's a whole other thing we do where we look to what is his nature and her nature, and what is the affinity between them, and is it easy or not? Now, without his birth time, I actually can't for sure tell this technique between them. I can see certain things about it. Like it says they have a connection called sense of purpose, which makes you feel a lot of meaning with a person and a lot of rightness with someone. But what's really fun is when we look at her chart and we say, like, who would she marry? What kind of person? You know, what kind of relationship? And what would the husband be like, right? So for that, we look to the relationship of Mars, which indicates husbands in this particular technique, and Jupiter, which indicates marriage. And Mars is in the sixth sign or sixth house from Jupiter. Six is the number for competition, adversity, athletics, people who protect society. So who is she marrying? She's marrying an athlete. The sixth house is athletics. The sixth house is competition. This guy competes for a living, right? Now, the other thing that's kind of crazy is when you look at her house of partnership and you say, who would she marry? Her house of partnership is ruled by Mars. Mars is the planet of athletes. It's the planet of competition. It's the planet of, exuberance. And here she is marrying somebody exuberant. But what's wild is most of the day that he is born, the moon is in a constellation called Anuradha. Anuradha is in Scorpio. It's ruled by the planet Saturn, making him a late bloomer in love. Hey, hey. And it is, this constellation is called the Star of Success. The Star of Success. This guy is very successful. She just happens to be like a jillion times more, but that's not his fault, right? He's doing amazing. He's in the top 1%. She's just in the top 0.00001%. Anyway, I think his moon is in Anuradha because the ruler of her house of partnership is in Anuradha. What? Your chart describes your partner. Your chart describes the kind of person. My husband's chart says his wife will not be domestic, will not cook, and will love to work. And sadly, he's never had a pot roast in his own home, and he never will. Not made by me anyway. Okay, but back to them. So I think this is beautiful. As for the timing, as for why now, they are both in a time called your Jupiter return. Jupiter is one of the planets of marriage. It returned to their sign, to the sign it was in when they were both born in May of this year of 2025. And it's there until May of next year, till June of next year. And when Jupiter comes along to your own Jupiter, there's a lot of blessings. There's a lot of good fortune. What's even more remarkable is Taylor is in a planetary period of Saturn. Now, Saturn gets a lot of like bad press because it delays things and it causes a lot of, obstacles and setbacks and la, 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 la. But if Saturn is good in your chart, it brings the greatest boons. So Saturn is so good in her chart. It's forming what's called a Raja Yoga, which means like a royal status combination, and it's uplifting her life. And for Libra rising, the planetary period of Saturn is the best one. So she began the planetary period of Saturn at the end of 2023. And OG, what has she been doing? Having the most successful concert series tour of all time. Uh, Uplifting entire economies of entire regions of the world as she went, paying, her staff and her crew millions of dollars and bonuses in the millions. I mean, like, Taylor has been absolutely, what did she do? Sell her soul to the devil or something, right? Like, she's had like the most magical run. And Saturn is the planet of commitment. So while she's been doing all of that, she met the love of her life, and she has now made this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous commitment and got an antique engagement ring, which is Saturn rules antiques, Venus in Capricorn, antiques. So this is just perfect. I'm very happy for both of them. I hope it all goes beautifully. I'm not going to make any predictions about them because today was just about, let's look at the two of them. Why are they who they are, and why are they together, and why now? And they have my wholehearted blessing and the blessing of the entire universe. And I wish them both the best. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to know about your chart, check out my work at loveisinthestars.com. You can also find me at carolallanastrology.com. And you can find all sorts of fun things in my bio. And have a great day.